Hello, so this is my database final project showcase. I did my final project as a Discord bot for the CSV file I got from Kaggle here on video game sales within the year 2020. That'll have information such as a title, console, genre, and then some regional sales such as like NA, Japan sales, and so on. Now, if you want to download this project as a local host instead of I have mine running on AWS here, you're going to need to install these libraries for the bot itself. And then if you want to make the CSV from a database, you're going to need to run that file, which is a Jupyter notebook, and then you're going to need these dependencies. I don't recommend running this file purely because the web scraping I did took 8+ hours, which that is for the cover art. But if you do want to install it and do it locally, you're going to need to also go to the developer portal here on Discord. You're going to need to make a new application. That'll bring you to a page like this, and then you're going to need to go to the bot section, copy your token here, and then place that into the .environment variable or file that I have here. And then once you have that done, all you need to do is invite the bot to your Discord. You're going to use this link right here, which is the client ID. You get that from OAuth, and it's this number right here. Now, once you have all that done, using this link, you invite it to a Discord that you have admin perms in. If it's in your Discord, you're just going to go to your directory that you have the bot.py in, and then run this command. That'll bring the bot online, and then you can do whatever you want. If you want to just run it with my instance of this bot, you can click this link, and then it'll just bring it to a page saying what server do you want to invite this in. Now, this may or may not be live or online. AWS doesn't like to stay online for some reason. So now into the demo of this project itself. You can do the exclamation point help commands, and all these commands need to be in the exclamation point, as I'll explain later. So the game commands needs to be wrapped in single quotes, as most of these commands, if you're searching from a game or anything with various words spaced out together, it needs to be wrapped in a quote. And some of these commands have optional sub like commands in terms of like some games have multiple consoles, so you're going to need to search by a specific console if you want that specific game. So like God of War is on a couple consoles. As we can see here, we do game God of War PS2. We get the PS2 version of the game info, which is just the title, console, genre, total sold. But if we do game God of War, that'll give us information on just the first one that it sees, which is the Series X console. Now, looking back up here, we have extended game, which is similar to game, it just gives you a little bit more information. So if we do this, we just type extended game. There we go. It just gives you a little bit more information, such as the publisher, developer, critic score if it has it. As mentioned here, some of these values may be unknown or -1 if the CSV file or if the web scraping could not find what I was trying to get. So if we move down a little bit to the search game, we're not going to go through each one of these as we'll probably be here for half an hour at that point. So if we do search game, it'll just match anything to this keyword. I'll explain a little bit more about that in the code review. But if we do like Call of Duty, it'll just give all the matches to Call of Duty. So this is called an embed, and it'll give up to 12 results. Anything after that, I just pick a random amount of the 12. So if it got 30 results for Call of Duty, it would just pick a random 12 each time. Just purely because if you do search games V, this would probably find 1,000 results of different types of games. So that's purely just to prevent spam here. So if we look back at the help commands, it's the same thing with publisher and developer. We can search by a publisher, such as like Rockstar Games, or we can do developer. So let's look at the sales commands. As it says right here, it'll just give you more info on the sales, such as the NA results, Japan results, and so on. So we can do like Call of Duty World War II. So as you can see here, it just gives you more info. As previously mentioned, it could not have total shipped, but it has total sold. Usually if it has this one, it wouldn't have this one, as I noticed from the CSV file. And we can look at scores of random games. So top scorer will just give you the highest game and then work down. So the CSV file has a bunch with 10, so it just shows you all the ones with 10s here. And then if we do bottom score, you can give it an optional argument of a number here. So say we want games below a score of 5. So this will just give you a bunch under 5, as you can see, or it may be up to 5. So 5, 4.5, and so on. And then I have a few commands with some graphing, showing you the genre graph. So how many games in my data set are of a genre. So as we can see here, 14% are in the action genre. Puzzle is 6%. Now you can also notice that there are some 0% here, and that's because the number is too low to actually be a percentage. So like sandbox could be 0, 0, 1, but it'll still be represented on this graph. So as you can see, this very small sliver, that's music. Same thing with the console graph. But rather than a legend over here, I just had it spiking out. So as you can see, we have 22% on PC, 7% PS2, and so on. Now there's various other commands here that I haven't gone over, but so like random game will just give you a random game and then some information about that. So if we move on to the code review now, the makedb is a Jupyter Notebook file that I use with pandas, and using pandas, I load the CSV into a data frame called df, and then from this data frame, I split it off into 3 others so I can make a total of 3 tables within my database itself, as you can see here, named game, stats, wiki. So if we look at games, it has title, console genre, publisher, developer, and then over to the side here, I can't scroll over, but the release date, oh there we go, release date and last update are right here as well. So if you look at now stats, this will have all the stats of the game, such as critic score, total ships, and so on. And then the wiki has information of the wiki. So we got our cover arts here, and then over on the side we got the actual wiki page itself. So if we go back to this, scroll over here, we got this index column, and we need this because as previously mentioned, some of these games are in various consoles. So like God of War shows up with this direct name multiple times in here, so we can't use title as a primary key, and we can't use any of these other columns as a primary key. So I have the index column here that's just 0 to my total amount of 57,000 as my primary keys that I join off for any various searching. So more about this file, just a lot of making the other data frames. So I make the wiki page or wiki data frame, and then this is my web scraping here that I go through. I go to the requested wiki page, and then I get the upload link if it has it. Now, some of these wiki pages, it will say like Grand Theft Auto 5, the game, or it'll append something else on it. And at that point, I can't find or go into the game, so it'll just give you like an unknown or something. So if we scroll down here, now this is where I make the actual database itself. So I go through, I create a table, I make the index number the primary key, and then title, context, and whatever. This is just a schema of the database here. And then I just do the data frames, the 3 different data frames, .2SQL, which loads my data frames into the schema. So if we go to the command.py now, all right, so if we look at the command.py now, this is just the implementation file of all my helper functions. So each one of these will have get underscore the command name. And then this is just a function that'll make a global connection to the database. So I'm not recalling this each time I do a command. It's just started at the time of the bot. So for the get game here, we see if it has the optional console. If not, we just get the game. Now, the arguments, if you have anything within spaces, such as a God of War, this will be a list of like 3 things. So I just go through it and I append it by if I see the quotes. So if I see a start quote, I start appending everything. If I see another quote, I stop. So now my actual query here itself, I do an inner join on the games table and the stats table. So that way I can get the console and then my total sales. I do it on the index column. And as you can see here, I have the like keyword, so that way it can be case insensitive. Because in the games table itself, it'll have like God of War with a capital G and a capital W. If I didn't have the like and you just did all lowercase God of War, it wouldn't match. So the like allows you the flexibility there. And then if we have a console, it's the same thing. We just get the title like your input, and then the console like your whatever your console input. And then we just fetch 1 because this can fetch multiple instances of a game, so we just get the first one we see. And then extended game is the same thing. We just do an inner join on the 2 tables here on the index, and then we just do title like your input. Now a search game is a little bit different. I append on the wildcards here, so that way it'll match anything in between of 0 or more characters behind it, or 0 or more characters after it. So if we just do of, it'll match like Call of Duty, and then I'll get the input of that, and then I fetch all of it. So that's where it comes into the 12 random parts. If we get more than 12 games, I just pick 12 games of the random amount. So let's say we have 30 matches, I'll pick 12 at random of the matches. If we don't have 12, I just output everything it found. And that's the same thing with the publisher searching and the developer searching. I just do an inner join, match on the index, and then do a like statement here. So going down with sales, this is similar to searching for the game, just a different search result. I do inner joins, and then a like. So if we scroll down to something a little bit different here, such as random game, I join the 3 tables together with just a normal join rather than an inner join. That's because if I do an inner join, it'll give you one result various times because it matches with various things. That's because the inner joins don't limit it to like 1 match. You can have various matches per column. So I just get 1 match on a random game number. So I get a random index from 0 to the max amount of columns or tuples I have. and then I just match it on the index. So searching release date, same thing, just an inner join, and then I do some equality if it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, and then I once again get 12 random games. Same thing with last update. Now, if you look at top score, I do a group by and halving statement. That's because I do the max of the critic score. So if I didn't do a group by and then halving, it would just give me one result, and I wanted multiple. So this gives me so this gives me multiple results, and then I just pick the first 12 rather than 12 at random. And then bottom score, same thing, but rather than max, I go from min. And then the optional keyword, if you wanted it to be just below a number. So if you actually had that optional keyword, I start from the max and I work my way down. Rather than min, I go from the bottom up. So max, we get the maximum amount that is less than your keyword, and then it keeps going down, and we just get 12 of those. And once again, this isn't at random, this is just the 12 it sees. So if you just keep putting in 5, you're just going to get the same result. And then for my graphing here, pretty simple. I just do a count on the genre. So each time it sees a genre, it increases the counter, and then I group it by genre. So I'll get a list of pairs of genres. So it'll say like PS2 has 1,000, or that's if it was the console. For here, if it was like action has like 1,000 games. Now, if you move on to the bot itself, this is the Discord API. So I set the command prefix, which is the exclamation point. I remove the base help command so I can overload it and make my own, as you can see here. Now the client add event, this is just your startup. So I tell the console that the game or the bot is up, and then I make the global connection to the database. Now everything below this is just all the commands. So client.command is telling the bot that this is the command, this would be the command name, this is the channel that it was done in, so I can just send it back to the same channel. And then the embed is the nicer output, as you can see here, rather than it just being like a normal text command. So I load up the embed with a bunch of names, which is your command name, the format, and then the value is what it returns. So for game, it returns title, console, genre, and so on. I'll tell you a little bit more info about each command here, and then I send it out. So each one of these is pretty much just formatting all the embeds, as all the results is in an embed minus the graph. So I just see, do we have any arguments? If we didn't, I just send an error saying check your format, saying I missed your game name for this one. If you do have arguments, I set up the embed, make the color, which is just the color right here, and then I just go through the output. The output is going to be a list, potentially a list of lists, as you'll see later. So I just go through the list. I know the list is a max amount of 4, so I just load up the embed and then I send it out here, or right there. Same thing with extended game, same principle as this. Now search game is a little bit different. As I just mentioned, it's a list of lists. So I go through the list and then I load up the list or the embed with everything in that list. So let's say we have 12 matches, it'll run this 12 times. It'll load up 12 titles or game titles in here, and then I'll send it out once it's done. If it's -1, that just means your keyword didn't work and nothing is found, so we just throw in an error. Same thing with public search and searching developers. Now for release date, I need to check that it's in year, month, day format. So I do a little bit of regex here. I just parse it out into date 1, date 2, check the date, if it's year, and then it has this dash right here as that's needed, and then month, and then day. If it passes that, I send it to my helper function, which we just explained before, but it's a list of lists. We go through it, and I load up the embed, and then I send it out. Same thing with last update. Game sales is similar to the just normal game. I just go through the output, put everything into the embed, and send it out. Now, cover art is a little bit different. As you can see here in the database, it doesn't have the HTTPS part at the beginning. So I'll take this and then just append the HTTPS at the start, so that way when it goes into the output, I'm not sure I actually even showed that, just in case we didn't. There's what that looks like. So it'll load it up and then convert it to the image itself. Random game does the same thing as before, loading up the HTTPS, the embed. The bottom score, I make sure that we got a number as an argument again. If we didn't get a number, I just output check your args. Now, genre graph, here's where I do a little bit output formatting for the graph itself. So this will be swapping around where the music and sports placement is. So that way, everything's not right on top of each other. So you can clearly see the console or the genre. And then this is just making the percentages. That's in the legend, as you can see here. And then this is just outputting it. Same thing with here. We make the percentages on the names. We load up the pie chart, and then we just output it. And then this is finally just loading up the environment variable for your token, so that way you can leave it in a .environment, and if you ever put it on like a hosting site or something, usually they encrypt your .environments, so you're never potentially leaking your tokens, as you want to keep those private. But that's it for my database project. Thank you for watching or listening.